So for anyone who uses a Mac, Intego is an antivirus software that's in a class of its own, honestly, and specifically because it's been designed for Mac computers. And even though I've had a great experience using it, including preventing some malware issues and helping my MacBook run a little faster, it may not be perfect for everyone, as there are definitely some areas that could be improved, such as its web security needing to be more robust and its ability to protect Windows threats is more limited. So in this review, I'll take you through my experience of using it, let you know how well the different applications work, and ultimately help you decide if this would be worth going for or not. And as always, if you do decide to give it a try, I'll leave a link in the description below with the best discount that I can get for you guys. So when you sign up for Intego, the process is super quick and easy. They'll send you a link to your email with instructions for installing Intego, and after installation, I got right into the scan, which was surprisingly efficient, and I was able to continue to browse the web on my MacBook during the scan without it slowing down. And the scan revealed a few malware files that had somehow snuck onto my computer, and Intego put the files into quarantine for me, and then afterwards I was able to review these files and delete the suspicious ones. Now, alongside Intego's scanning tool, which they call Virus Barrier, I also got 4 other applications. These include a firewall called Net Barrier, a washing machine, which is supposed to keep your files clean and organized, a Content Barrier, which is their fancy name for parental control, and a personal backup tool. Now, the Virus Barrier is Intego's main antivirus application, and it does exactly what its name suggests: prevents viruses from harming your Apple devices, and it does that very well. Basically, how it works is that it scans your computer for malware, and after the scan finishes, it presents you with a list of sketchy files that it's put in quarantine, and you can choose to keep, try to repair, or delete each one. Now, Virus Barrier has 2 scan options: the quick scan, which literally took less than a minute for me to run, or the more comprehensive full scan, which meticulously inspects every single file on your device. Now, the full scan can take between 15 minutes to an hour, depending on how many files you have and how fast your computer is, and sometimes your computer can slow down while these scans are running, but to be honest, I haven't found the full scan to be a drain on my Mac's CPU, and it hasn't significantly impacted my computer's speed. And for reference, I'm using a 12-inch M1 MacBook. Maybe that's because I mostly use my Mac for basic stuff like browsing and word processing and whatnot, but if you're doing more CPU-intensive activities like editing or rendering any 3D files or editing any large image files, you might see some lag, but I would just not recommend scanning while doing that stuff anyways. Now, what's nice though is that Intego does have a few clever workarounds for the lag. For example, you can select scan with low priority, which will make the scan take quite a bit longer, but it won't slow down your CPU-intensive applications. And what I found really cool is that if Virus Barrier already scanned a file and marked it as safe, as long as that file hasn't been modified in any way, it'll skip over it in future scans. So for me, the second full scan that I ran was nearly twice as fast as the first one. And then the third-party testing sites such as AV Tests and AV Comparatives have found that Virus Barrier detects between 99 and 100% of malware that can affect Macs, which is pretty much as good as it gets. Now, unfortunately, Intego doesn't have a designated mobile app, which is a bit disappointing, but Intego can still scan iPhones, iPads, and iPods. You just have to plug them into your Mac for the scan to work. Now, in addition to these scheduled quick and full scans, Virus Barrier also offers real-time virus detection. So this means every single time a file is created, copied, modified, or saved, Intego scans it for threats. Now, the second application I downloaded from Intego was the firewall, or as they call it, the Net Barrier. But Mac computers already come with a built-in firewall that's very impressive. So what value does Net Barrier add? Well, the Mac OS only monitors incoming traffic, so it can stop external threats like unauthorized applications from accessing your Mac. Meanwhile, Intego's Net Barrier monitors both incoming and outgoing network traffic, so your device won't release unauthorized personal data over the network. This is just a really important added level of security. Let's say a keylogger somehow infiltrated my computer. A firewall that monitors outgoing traffic would prevent that keylogger from sending my keystrokes, including potentially my passwords, credit card number, and personal information over the network. So Net Barrier gives me that crucial added layer of security that keeps my personal data from being leaked. Now, a Net Barrier is considered a smart firewall, and here's why. Basically, you can input different settings for the firewall based on the type of network that you're connected to at the moment, home, work, or public, which makes sense because your secure home network has different security needs than the non-password protected Wi-Fi at the public library. Anyways, as you move around with your Mac and switch between networks, Net Barrier automatically determines what type of network you're on and adjusts your settings for you, which means your you're perfectly protected no matter where you go, and you don't really have to engage with the firewall to make it work. Now, I love this feature because Net Barrier automatically sets up to protect me even if I go to any public networks or anything like that. So for example, you take your MacBook to a Starbucks, you want to protect yourself on that public Wi-Fi. This feature helps you do that very safely. Also, Net Barrier does have a few other customizable features. For example, you can let it know whether specific applications can automatically receive or create connections, or whether you want them to ask you every time. And you can also turn on alerts if someone unknown tries to access your network. Now, although the virus and the Net Barrier are really Intego's main security programs, they do have a few other applications, which I'll briefly run through and let you know whether or not there's value to them. First off, there's the washing machine, which is a bit of a misnomer because it's more of a declutterer than a washer. Basically, this tool removes junk and duplicate files and helps keep your desktop generally organized. Now, while I didn't notice much of a difference in my Mac speed after using the washing machine, I do appreciate how it made it easy for me to organize my files, and it even created a smart folder with my most used files, making them easier to find in the future. Very cool. Next one is the Content Barrier. So this is a parental control app, and it's a pretty comprehensive one. For example, you can use this to monitor in-game chats, set time limits on kids' computer use, and you can even blacklist and whitelist selected sites. And then you've got the Personal Backup tool, which is another interesting add-on. It offers secure cloud-based storage for all your files, which actually has some benefits over Mac's built-in Time Machine. For example, you can copy macOS to an external drive, so it's like having a startup disk in case you ever have a really bad system crash. And then it automatically syncs changes to files so you can easily switch between devices. I really like this feature. And finally, Intego's last add-on is a VPN, which is called Privacy Protection. And it works great, though if I didn't already have ExpressVPN, I would definitely be happy using this. It's got a great interface and does the basics really well. But of course, if you're looking to stream and have access to a lot of countries, you probably want to go with something like ExpressVPN. I'll leave a link in the description below if you guys are interested in basically the best third-party VPN that you can get. So now let's talk about the cost. Intego basically offers 3 different plans. I'm currently on Intego's premium bundle, which costs about $70 per year and gets me almost all of Intego's applications, including the virus barrier, Net Barrier, parental controls, washing machine, and personal backup. Everything except the VPN, which is totally not a problem for me since I already have ExpressVPN. If you want the bundle that does include the VPN, it's just an additional $20 per year, which is great considering that this is way cheaper than any other VPN that you might get, but it still does the job very well. And if you're only looking for basic antivirus and anti-malware protection, you can get Intego's virus barrier and their firewall only for $40 a year. But again, if you do decide to give Intego a try, I'll include a link in the description with the biggest discount that I can get for you guys. Now, even though there's a lot to love about Intego, especially for Mac users, there are still some potential areas for improvement. For example, I'd love to see Intego offer a more robust web security application. You know, one that actively blocks or warns me if I ever visit potentially harmful websites. Now, it's really unlikely that malware from such sites could actually harm my Mac because Intego has a real-time scanner that won't let malware install itself to begin with. And Virus Barrier will make sure that my built-in browser settings are turned to safe browsing, which does give good protection against phishing and dangerous sites. Plus, they also will scan emails for viruses, so my Mac really is quite safe when browsing with Virus Barrier installed, but it's something I'd love to see them roll out in the future. Additionally, Intego is able to recognize nearly 100% of the threats that target Mac's OS, but they have a less effective rate of identifying Windows threats, which doesn't concern me as a Mac user, but if you're a Windows user, I wouldn't recommend using Intego at this time. But when it comes to Mac, Intego is without a doubt the best antivirus solution that you can get. It's extremely rare for an antivirus software to be designed for Mac users specifically, but Intego has been doing this since 1997 and it's been continually improving over time. My personal experience with Intego has been very positive. The comprehensive scan from the virus barrier got to work right away, quarantined seen the malware and repaired my files. And my Mac has even been running more smoothly since using Intego as well. I also love Intego's smart firewall feature because I'm constantly working on the go, which reassures me that my network is always going to be secure no matter where I bring my Mac. Ultimately, I would say Intego is a great option for anyone that has a Mac computer and wants to make sure that they're protected. It's reliable, consistent, and very user-friendly. And every single piece of every single one of their apps, from the smallest feature to the overall suite of protection, was designed with Macs in mind. And honestly, it really shows in its functionality and how easy it is to use. So if you do decide to give it a try, let me know in the comments down below how you like it. Otherwise, I hope this review was helpful. If so, please leave a thumbs up, as that always makes my day. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to leave those below, as I love getting to answer as many of those as I can. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.